Welcome to LSC. It's sports time. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Today I have with me Matthew Mitchell, former football and baseball player over at Hampton High School. Welcome.
Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to have you in. I had your daddy in here. He talked a lot about you, but we want to talk about you growing up in Hampton, and you've been around sports your whole life because that's what your daddy was doing. But you started playing baseball at a real young age. T-ball at, how old were you when you started T-ball?
4 years old. I started over at Hampton with the Angels. From there on, I just been playing ever since.
But then you moved into, they started where the guys would pitch to you.
Yeah, that was, by the time I was 7, I'd moved up to B-League, and then at 9, I was in A-League.
But see, now A-League is 9 through 12.
Yeah.
And you got there as a 9-year-old.
Yep. That's, it was 2 of us in A-League at 9 years old that year, me and Ryan Trimble, who also ended up being on that high school team, and his dad actually helps Dad at Hampton coach baseball right now.
Right, yeah. But also during this time, you're over on the football field, over at Hampton High School.
Yep.
And here you are, a little kid, running around with shoulder pads and a helmet on.
Every day. Every day. It was like, that was all I wanted to do, was whatever sport was in season, I wanted to be there at practice all day, every day. And I remember, as you talk about football, my mom would come home from work, I'd be waiting on the front porch with my equipment, we would go down to the football field, walk down all the way to the bleachers, and I'd just play with her on the track while practice was going on. And then they'd have water break, and I'd go out there with Dad and the coaches, and we'd toss the ball around and conversate with the players. And then afterwards, they'll run sprints and get their conditioning in, and I'm right on the side trying to run with them, tagging way behind, starting with the first group, finishing with the last. Well,
this is something that just because your dad was there, and this is something man, I want to do this.
Yep.
Just be on that thing. And then you became a ball boy.
Yeah.
And you had to be, what, 7, 8 years old?
I believe it was, I want to say 7 or 8, yeah. And that's when I took the helmet off, took the shoulder pads off at the game, which a lot of people remember me from.
Yeah.
You know, I'll meet people that I don't remember, but they remember me just from being that small little guy out there running the balls around, throwing them to the referee. And, you know, there's times where referees are like, this kid's too little to be out here. And Coach Smith is like, he's our ball boy. He does wait till the end of the game. You're going to be glad he's out here.
But, you know, you, as your daddy said, that you had your own little game going on while the ball game was going on.
Yeah, I mean, there's times there wasn't really a lot of kids around, but, you know, I'd throw the ball up to myself and run and catch it, you know. After I go catch the extra point, I'd run it back like it was a kickoff back to the sideline and juke out the pylon and dive when I get back to the water cooler. But,
oh, man.
I mean, it was just,
well, you
had
to have a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, that's what made it fun, that and hanging around the players and them accepting you for being there and not, you know, they really want you there. And you find guys who are Dad's players who come back now and they still remember me from when I was that little guy.
I can remember seeing you jump up and smacking them on the helmet or on the shoulder pads. You know, that's all the size you could get. But you were around a lot of great athletes, and Curry and Muffin and Lively, and I mean, there's some awesome athletes that you're around that a lot of people don't get a chance to get to know them like you got to know them.
Yeah, and I mean, it was like they were part of our family. You know, once they went on to college, we went and saw their college games, and they came back and saw my games when I was in high school. And, you know, it's just a growing relationship that obviously it starts to split up a little bit, but, you know, they still remember you, and they're as much a part of me growing up as anybody else was.
All right, now, we're going to go back now. When you went to middle school, where'd you go to middle school?
Jones Magnet Middle School.
Okay. Now, but you were playing ball, you still played rec ball up until, what, 8th grade?
Football, I played
football and baseball.
Well, I played rec baseball all the way through. I actually played JV baseball in the 8th grade at Hampton, but I never played JV football at Hampton. I only played rec football for about 3 or 4 years. Okay, but as a 9th grader, you went up to the varsity. Yeah.
In football.
Yep.
Now, how big were you?
4'11", 100 pounds maybe. When I started the year, ended the year like 5'6", 120. I mean, I kind of hit a little bit of growth spurt, but, you know, I was lost in size out there compared to everybody else.
But you was working out as a wide receiver.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, as a sophomore, Mike and Coach Smith and your dad says, "We need a kicker."
Yeah.
And you've never kicked before.
Yeah, I kind of looked at him like, all right, I mean, how am I going to solve that problem? And they're like, well, you're the kicker now. So we got a guy coming in by the name of Doug Blevins. You know, Brian Smith, his son, helped me.
All right.
And they just helped me as far as form-wise. And at the start of the year, I wasn't that good. But, you know, by halfway through the season, I became pretty consistent.
Right.
And I kicked the next 3 years there and helped me score a lot of points there, that's for sure.
But also now we're going back, because baseball is going on, football's over, baseball is going on. You start as a 9th grader on your dance team.
Yes, we had, I want to say 4 of us started in the 9th grade that year.
Yeah.
We had a couple older kids on that team. Devin Branch was one of them, who also played football, and you know, those guys just accepted us and knew, you know, we had to prove a little bit that we could play there, but when we played in the 8th grade, we would actually practice against that team the year before.
Okay.
So, and we would give them a run for their money in practice. So, coming up, you know, they knew we could kind of play, and we went out there with 4 freshmen starting, but every day we felt like we were going to compete to win.
Well, and that was my next question, because here you got 4 freshmen that become starters. That's very unusual, but it got to make your daddy happy, because I'm going to have these guys for 4 years.
Yeah, definitely. And that was our team. That was pretty much the core of our team, who grew up as a travel team out of the Hampton-With area.
Right.
As with the Bombers, and you know, through our career, we won 4 or 5 state championships in AAU. So,
who was your coach in AAU? You remember?
It was Dad.
Your dad did coach.
Dad, Joe Trimble, who's helping Dad right now at Hampton, and Mo Rivers, who is probably one of the biggest helps Dad's ever had as far as baseball, and he's just a gift to, I think, Hampton-With and Hampton High School's now community as far as baseball. Here's a guy who has no kids in Hampton-With, but he's been there for a long time, and every kid he's watching grow up, and he makes them part of his life like they're his real kid.
Now, you guys had pretty good years in baseball to kick at Hampton High. And we talked about that your dad called a lot of the pitches, but that core group of you guys just stuck together, didn't you? You played infield. Where did the other kids play?
Sean Fields was a shortstop. Cody Sheets was kind of like our utility guy who went. He played catcher. He played third base. He would do anything we asked him to. There was Ryan Trimble and Matt Schaefer, who switched off at first base, and they were our 2 main pitchers.
Right,
so
but
one
you
was
also
pitching.
pitched too, didn't you?
Just I kind of closed a little bit at Hampton, so. But those 2 would switch off at pitcher and first base, and then we had a kid, Jesse Shepard, who played the outfield for us for 3 years, and he was also with us, but Cody Sheets and Jesse weren't with us our first year as freshmen.
Right. But you
the
was with them for 3 years.
The next 3 years, they were there with us, and they were on that travel team with us throughout the whole time.
I know we're going to go back to football a little bit, because you start kicking as what year was it you started kicking?
Sophomore year.
Sophomore year. So you kicked for the next 3 years, sophomore, junior, senior. You played backup quarterback, played wide receiver, and as a senior, you become the quarterback.
Yeah.
Now you're calling the plays. Well, Coach Smith is sending the plays in. How did that feel? Because this is something, when you were just a kid, I wanted to play football so bad you could almost eat it.
Yeah, it definitely was. You know, it was just like sort of a dream come true, is cliche, but you know, it kind of was. And then, you know, my first 2 years I didn't play a lot. Junior year I started at receiver, and of course Tyrod was there quarterbacking, and then even up till then I hadn't really. Junior year I kind of got thrown in as a backup quarterback because we didn't have anybody else.
Right.
And I guess that's kind of how my career went at Hampton as far as football. Is just like, here you go, we know you can do it, so
we need you here.
Yeah, go here. And you know, a lot of people might have thought, you know, hey, I wanted to be the quarterback there, but that's just what they asked me to do. So I just said, all right, they said, here's the keys to the car, and I drove it around for a year, and then, you know, it was just what they asked me to do, and but it was probably, it's one of the best things that happened to me.
Helped you with your leadership, I would imagine.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, now you're thinking about going to college. You got a chance to go to William & Mary. You got a chance to go to CNU, but you end up going to Averett, NAIA school?
Division III, NCAA.
Division III. Okay. And the reason you go there is because they're going to let you play both.
Definitely, yeah. That was a big thing coming out of high school for me was, you know, I wanted to play both sports, at least give it a shot. And I went up there my first year. I played both, played a little bit in football, played a little bit in baseball. My grades weren't quite where I wanted them to be at the end of the year, and I had to make a decision. It was either I was going to keep trying to play both and struggle with a low GPA through college, or I was going to pick the one I really wanted to do, which was baseball, and get my grades up to where I wanted to be.
Right. And you got your degree in coaching.
Definitely, yep.
So there's no doubt in my mind you got the background from your daddy from coaching. So this is something that you wanted to do your whole life anyways. And you said something about your counselors trying to talk you out of it.
Yeah, I remember I went in my first semester I went undecided. Second semester I saw on the major sheet that there was a coaching major, which is within the physical education department. I was like, well, there's what I want to do. Definitely want to do coaching. And you know, I go in and they're like, really, you want to do coaching? Because they had just made it a major from a minor. They're like, you know, we don't have a lot of kids who do coaching because, you know, what can you do with it besides coach? And I'm like, well, that's all I want to do is coach. And, you know, that you can sit here and try to talk me out of it, but I don't think that should be your role as the advisor, is try to talk me out of it.
Right.
But that's what I want to do. You know, we had sports medicine, we had athletic training, we had physical education teaching. I didn't want to do any of that. And we're sitting here today, and I've graduated from it, and I still don't regret doing it at all.
All right, so you got your degree, but you're now a GA.
Yeah, I'm going to go back next year and start my master's, which will be in education, which will give me a teaching licensure and all that stuff to have something to fall back on. But also to be a coach at the college level, they're looking for you to have a master's degree. It doesn't matter what it's in.
Right. And
they want you to have coaching experience, and they're going to give me that opportunity to get both right there at the place I'm alumni from, which I think is just going to be an awesome experience.
Right. Now, but while you were in college, you also helped when the All-Star contests come down here. You would help with the baseball, help your daddy with the...
Yeah, I'd help Dad, Coach Smith, you know, whatever they needed. I'd just kind of hang around, just get some experience dealing with people and how to handle different situations.
All right, and you're also working with Hank Morgan over with the Pilots, the Wood Bat League.
Yeah, I just started that this year.
That's going to look good in your resume.
I hope so, that's for sure. Just, you know, helping.
What do you do? What do you do?
Right now I'm coaching first base, helping with some instruction as far as infield instruction, hitting instruction where it's needed. You know, those kids are all great talents and draft guys and big-time Division I players, and just for them to allow me to have that opportunity to work with guys like that that's just a blessing that Hank and them have provided to me.
But now Hank told me that there were more than just you from the peninsula that are over there helping with the Pilots. Who else is over there?
As far as coaches, there's Hank, and then David Mitchell, who's the coach at Nansman Suffolk Academy.
Right.
And Mike Moore comes around every now and then just to help us out. And Wayne Gomes, who's from Phoebus and Old Dominion and the pitcher with the Phillies. And that's pretty much our coaching staff.
So now...
Oh, no, there's also Chris Auctionfell, who's he's at Denby now, and he's our pitching coach. And, you know, with those guys, he's really helping those guys out a lot with our pitchers.
Oh, that's awesome. But now, you played in college. Wood Bat League is different. I mean, because you didn't use wood bat when you were in college.
No.
What is the adjustment these guys have to do?
I think they just got to really learn to trust their abilities and get the barrel on the ball. And, you know, they have to become more fundamentally sound as far as hitters, instead of just swing and let the bat take care of the business,
right.
But they have to. They have to work hard over the summer to produce good numbers.
It's a
completely
game,
different game.
Almost.
Yeah. They have to trust their abilities and be able to play small ball a little bit and bunt. And when we play small ball with the Pilots right now, we're a pretty good team. And when we just go up there and swing it, we're not playing that well.
Right. I'm going to wrap this up, but I had your daddy in here, and he says, you need to get Matthew in. And this was back when you were a sophomore. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to wait till he graduates. But he said, you have a plan. He said he's got a plan. I mean, most kids don't have a plan.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what got you to that level and talk about your plan.
I just remember I was probably, I think, going into my senior year, I had to sit down and I had to write a paper on, what I wanted to do in life. And Dad's probably been the biggest influence in my life that I've ever had. So I just sat down and I was like, what do I really want to do? I was like, well, I'd like to follow in his footsteps. And Hampton is probably where my heart is. Probably will always be at Hampton High School. But, I wanted to go on and coach college-wise.
Okay.
So, I decided right there that I wanted, if I didn't go anywhere after college to play any sport, as far as professionally, which is not happening for a lot of people, so you have to set reality in real quick,
right.
Is I wanted to be a coach at the college level in baseball. And I'm going to get that opportunity now as far as GAing, and that's why I picked my major to be coaching. And I built a strong relationship with my coach at school and with coaches I've met, just so, I have to put a good impression in them. And also throughout playing, you can't just, you have to play a little different if you want to be a coach, I think.
Right. And
show that you respect the game and respect the people around you as far as that. And, that's just kind of how I carry my life. And, if you want to impress somebody, as far as if I want to impress Bob Hintz, I just want to do something that I can go home and I can tell my parents about. And I think if I live my life like that, and that's just kind of how I went through it, because if I can impress them, it ought to be good enough for you too.
It is. I appreciate you coming in. Well, thank you for tuning in to LSC and Sports Time. I want to thank my special guest, Matt Mitchell. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Till next time.